Hello again, how are you? Welcome back to the channel. So we're going to get right into talking about the fifth and sixth dream. In the fifth dream that I woke up in a barber shop. And this barber shop kind of had the background of it, or the color scheme of it seemed to be almost like a murky green or an off green. I don't know. It just kind of had an off green kind of tinge to it. I ended up looking around, and from one end to the other, there's a barber seats, obviously, and at the very end, so the end that I came to in, really wasn't anybody there. Like I almost was, it was almost like I teleported into the perfect corner where no one was going to notice me. The dream characters, they don't end up really interacting with me much anyway. Ended up traveling, and I'm not walking, but because I kind of have some kind of all sight where I can just see all areas of whatever place that I'm in. So I end up moving myself from the corner that I teleported into to the other side, and there were people seated. There's probably like 4 or 5 rows of seats. It was kind of like 10 by 4 or 10 by 5, and right in front of that were the barber chairs going all the way across the building. And then there was a TV that 2 or 3 people sitting in the front row were watching, and there was 2 people getting their hair done. One was a woman, the other was a guy, and both barbers were dudes. And I just remember promised myself I was never gonna get another haircut. I was never getting another haircut. I do my own hair. Like I'm not just. It's the prices have went up tremendously, so it was just. And at that point, I wasn't even cutting my hair. I was growing it out. So immediately after I made that realization, I was like, oh, I'm dreaming. I'm dreaming. And so at this point, I do feel like I'm displaying some kind of practice nature, where once I realize I'm in the dream, I don't stay in the dream anymore, or not in this dream. And I ended up just lifting the roof off the barber shop. Completely I just looked at it, lifted, and I went straight through the roof. And this was probably the most beautiful dream. I spent the whole time flying, and I had already set an intention that I was going to, go as high as I could. Get to. I really wanted to go through space. That's what I really wanted to do. I ended up going somewhere else. I mean, you could call these clouds, but what I really believe is, well, let's get back into the dream. So I'm flying, right? I'm flying through the sky, and I just get to a part in the I just get to a part in the sky where the clouds just were so thick, like I feel like I could almost stood on them. In the distance, once I got to, because it was just a gigantic area full of them. But I was coming from an area where there weren't any of these types of clouds. So when I looked into the middle of these clouds, there was like a golden light that was coming from the middle of these clouds. And the thing that woke me up was I just remember just seeing that and just uh, feeling how beautiful that was and how fantastic it was that I found that. And what I really believe is that I was coming across the fourth dimension. In these dreams, you can enact the dream that is happening that you wake up inside of. Like your normal traversal within the dream is you not being conscious, right? You're not conscious. And so your dream self plays out the dream. So once you become conscious and you wake up, there are choices that you can make about how you want to experience the dream. At least half the time, I'm choosing to completely skip this part of the dream, or skip the dream completely, and to submerge deeper into whatever it is that I'm submerging into. I do feel like I'm moving past this dream that I woke up in. You know, me shattering the glass and moving past it, me lifting the barbershop roof and flying through it, and me finding these very populated places where there's just tons of people. There's just tons of souls. It feels like that I'm coming in contact with. So the part of Dreamworld that I'm in, it's very fourth dimensional. Like whatever it is that I want in that dream, it happens immediately. If I want the roof to lift, if I want glass to shatter, if I want to fly, if I want to banish things, it immediately happens. And I'm not sure if these are things that I innately am able to do inside of the dream. It definitely seems like these abilities are tools for me to or tools period for anybody to learn, so that they can control the dream to the degree of where you could literally leave the dream if you wanted to. Let's get into this sixth dream. Now the sixth dream is a dream where I became conscious in the dream, but I played the dream out because the dream was just really fucking, it was really interesting. It was just a really, really interesting dream. I wake up inside this place where it seemed like a prison, but we're not wearing the typical prison-like garb. It's, you know, I'm kind of in all white, and I wake up in a bathroom stall, and there's two other people there, and it had to have been that we went to the bathroom together, or maybe they were escorting me. They were escorting me to the bathroom. But when I woke up, it was almost like they sensed that it happened, and they were using the urinal, and I was in the corner. I wasn't really using the urinal, and so when I came to, I started looking around, and immediately it was like they understood that there was some kind of change in my character. And so they turned to come at me, and I don't even remember dispatching them at this point. But I just remember that whatever I needed to do, they were dealt with. You know, they were on the ground. I mean, they just virtually just disappeared. I'm walking out of the bathroom, and as soon as I walk out of the bathroom, turn the corner, I'm taking a left. So I walk out of the bathroom, take a left, and as I'm doing this, someone else is coming around the other corner on the opposite side. I'm guessing, you know, this is women's bathroom, and from the other side of this hallway, you know, doing the same thing I'm doing, a girl, you know, a woman walks out of the bathroom and takes a right, and we both end up turning at the same time and stopping and looking at each other. So at this point, I realized there's sirens going on. There's an alarm going on. So I'm looking around. I look at her. And then I look around, and to my left, there's a hallway going to some double doors that don't seem to be trying to keep us from leaving. Right? They're not really. Doesn't really seem like they're trying to keep us from leaving. I don't even remember looking right. I can kind of remember in my periphery. You know, I just wasn't really even focused on going inside that place whatsoever. Like I was only concerned with leaving. So I really didn't even say anything to the woman. I just looked at the door, looked at her, and I started walking towards that way. She started following me, and a I don't know, it was like a futuristic excursion, you know, came in and parked right outside of the doors. So we're leaving these double doors that were glass double doors, and when we walk up, a getaway vehicle a getaway vehicle drives up, and we get inside of it, and it's this woman that is dressed in red. She was dressed in like all leather red suit. So some of this I can pull from some of the things that I've read. Just to remind you, this is not me breaking out of the dream. I'm just playing the character role. I'm just conscious playing it. So we both get into this, this futuristic excursion. I mean, it was like it had wheels, but it seemed like there was armor on it. Inside, there were just so many buttons and gadgetry inside of it. So she pulls off. Right, we're going down a very like it was like a 2 or 3 lane highway, and as we're getting away, and the place is becoming a dot in the distance, we see two basically 18-wheeler sized. I mean, these things had more than 18 wheels. Like it had just had a series of different of wheels on both sides. 32 wheels. Oh, I mean, they look like caterpillars almost. So these huge trucks started coming after us, and they were moving. They could move pretty fast, and as they were coming up on the tailgate of the vehicle that we're in, are the two women that I'm with. Right. One of them, the one in red, she moves to start playing with the buttons and the levers and stuff. And I tell her, no, no, I got it. And so I go into the bag, and there's a big window. I mean, it looked like the doors open like this, like those shady ass white vans that don't have windows in the back. It looked like it opened like that, right? So you can see through it. So I'm looking as the one of the Caterpillar trucks are like almost about to hit the back of the truck that we're in. So I end up taking that telekinesis, and I basically just lifted the thing up and just slung it. And it ended up hitting the other truck that was coming up right behind it or right beside it. And the wheels on the side of the truck crumpled. And the truck that I ended up slinging, it bounced into the other truck and bounced off. I mean, it just kind of skidded and hit the other truck, and the wheels crumpled, and that catapulted it over the other truck, and then of course the other truck just got smashed into. So both those trucks end up, on the side of the road. So we end up just booking it, and we keep going until we end up in what seemed to be to me some kind of military communications kind of thing. We drove up, and there's a hill in front of us that goes up into a forest. And on the right hand side, there's like a small house, but there's this giant satellite. This satellite was gigantic. And so as we're coming up, she stops the truck, and we get out. And I end up, for some reason, I'm getting pulled to go up this hill. This is where we need to go up here. And so we started walking towards that direction up the hill. And then there was a guy that ends up walking out, and he sees us, and then he starts moving fast. He starts moving fast around the corner for some reason. And then, I end up moving a little faster. And so that made my party, or that made the other two women, move faster as well. And then I end up getting to the top of the hill and looking into the forest, thinking about how we're going to get, how we're going to disappear. And that's when I woke up. Right. So, in the fifth dream, when I'm in the heavens, just so that I can explain this a little better, when I'm in the heavens, or when anyone declares that they are going to the heavens, right? You see the clouds and all of that. This is a representation of the fourth dimension. This is the next plane above this every time. Like there's not any description of, the white light or the clouds. If you go back and you read the account of Enoch, or you compile any details about any experience that anyone has ever had about going to heaven, or having a light at the end of the tunnel experience. This is almost certainly connotated as the fourth dimension. There's no doubt about that. There's a lot of dogma and a lot of religion, and it's just not real. It's just not a real representation of the experience and what's happening. So just so you guys understand, I take a much more theosophical and measured approximation of these experiences that we're having, because we can do that. We're able to. There was a time period where we didn't know what was happening, but now that we're uncovering a lot of these informations, and especially these individuals, these ascended masters, who never really aligned themselves with one thing. They only had the spiritual experience. And now we have a lot more people now who are having this experience. And I am one that is having this experience where even a little bit of concentration and focus on myself and what the self is, and what you're able to do with the self, especially the mind and the spirit. Finding miraculous things about this, and a lot of the dogma and a lot of the misinterpretation of these experiences is being expunged. I mean, you can't really keep calling it the same thing. And then the institutions of religion right now are, the grimiest they've ever been, save for a couple of different events like the Crusades. But it's just, you look at the Catholic Church, and you look at a lot of the news that's behind any of these religions, especially in the Western world. It's grimy. This was the account of my fifth and sixth lucid dream, and I am going to be making more videos concerning spirit and fitness, so that I can find those people who wish to really understand, not just be told some things that, by all accounts, it looks like society just wants to force feed us regurgitated knowledge that does not work or apply in our lives now. So I'm here, and I'm not going to tell you I'm the most educated about these things, but I am very passionate about producing some understanding so that we all can really elevate our lives. If you want to know any more about me, you can message me if you like. I do a lot of gaming, and I do a lot of research. And the next videos that are going to be coming out are going to be, I would like to really do a video about alchemy but I think that I need to backpedal a little bit and talk about, just have a lead up to the alchemical principles. This is Cosmic Radius. This was a detailing of the fifth and sixth dream, and I hope that you are well. And like and subscribe if you're into the spiritual, or if you're into lucid dreaming. I'm going to be doing my practices and trying to have my next lucid dream. And I hope that I connect with somebody or some people who also have these experiences and want to learn more about what is happening, and what we can do and use these experiences for. Cosmic Radius signing out.